all of you are most familiar with this word yoga. You know, the actual word is not yoga, it's yoga. And the word means union. So, what kind of union are we going to achieve which will promote a healthy, completely fulfilled state of this heart, which is the main organ within us? So, I will begin this yoga or union with some beautiful, powerful, inspiring Sanskrit verses from the ancient texts. So I want you all to also try and focus on the vibrations of these beautiful hymns, and then I'll begin my talk after that. Dakarat rasannam Premaswarupam Brajabha Yuktam Yogindranidhyam Bhavarogavedyam Gurum Kripalum Pranamami Nityam Chetu Dharpanamarshyanam Bhavamadavagni Nirvapanam Shriya Kairavachandrika Vitaranam Vidyarvadu Jeevanam Anandam Buddhivardhanam Pratipadam Gunamrita Swadhanam Sarvatmasnapanam Param Vichayate Shri Krishna Sankirtanam Namah Kamalanam Yo तस्मै तत्त्वदिवमात्मबुद्धिप्रकाशम् मुक्षुर्वे शरणमहं प्रपद्ये। Eternal seekers of divine love. Almost everyone today has heard of this word, yoga. Most people identify it with some breathing exercises and, of course, certain kinds of asanas or exercises. Apart from this most popular yoga of today, we also have many other yogas. Karma yoga, Jnana yoga, Kriya yoga, Sahaj yoga, Kundalini yoga, etc., etc. Have you ever heard of what I'm going to talk today? Yoga of the heart? Probably not. This is the supreme amongst all yogas. In fact, it is at the heart of all yoga. Without this, all other kinds of yoga, all other goals of life will sometime all the other turn bitter and empty. What is this yoga of the heart? I know that there are probably some of you who have come here with the expectation of learning some kind of techniques, breathing, maybe exercises which will give you a healthy heart. Right? Quite possible, because our society had quite a few calls in this direction. People were willing to come from 4 hours drive down to learn about these techniques. But what I'm going to tell you is definitely going to give you a healthy heart. In fact, it will give you more than a physical well-being. It will give you the very fulfillment of life on an all-rounded basis. Now, whatever we are, man, woman, young or old, everyone's life involves a 4-letter word which we are more than familiar with, and that is love. Not only human beings, birds, animals, even plants and trees respond to love. Not only the entire creation, but the supreme being we call God, He too responds to love. What is love? Everyone talks about love. The psychologists talk, the philosophers talk, the poets talk, the magazines talk, the movies talk about love. The therapists talk about love. Everybody talks about love. But hardly anyone knows what love is. A French writer said, "True love is like ghosts. Everybody talks about it, but very few have seen it." Somebody wrote a beautiful poetry in Hindi saying, "जिसको देखो सब मोहब्बत की बात करते हैं." Right from the beginning, we talk about love. But we don't know. We all talk about love. We claim to love, but we don't know what love is. In fact, you have never loved anyone in your life, and nor has anybody ever loved you. Now, I know what you're thinking. That's nonsense. I don't accept what you're saying at all. Because how do you know? I love my wife more than my life. I love my son from the bottom of my heart. I love my mother with all my heart. I love my dog. I love my house. I love my car. I love, of course, money. Everybody loves that. So you see, I have so many loves. How can you say that I have not loved at all? Well, what you identify as love is not love. You are deluded. I'm going to give you the definition of love, and you try to fit into it what you talk about or claim as love, okay? The first definition is Sarvatha Dhvansarahitam Satyapi Dhvansakarane. Whatever love you're speaking of, if that love does not change at all in any kind of adverse circumstances, any obstacles, and that love just remains the same. Suppose you see your husband amiably talking to your next door neighbor every second day, long conversations, and then you even find out that last Valentine's Day, he did give her a ring as well. What's going to happen to your love? And then again, a husband finds out. He just accidentally picks up his wife's mobile and he finds a regular new number there. And when he checks to find out, it's been hours she's been talking. And he just makes the call and there is an unknown male voice there. Again, the father finds out that his son has been stealing money from his wallet on a regular basis to buy some drink. It's been for months, he finds out. And if people claim love, then what about all these old age homes? What's happened to them? Let's listen to the great sage Narad. Now we are talking about saints. All the novelists, the psychologists, they talk. I'm going to tell you what the saints tell you about true love. The definition. Probably some of you must have heard of the great book of scripture by the sage Narad. It's called Narad Bhakti Darshan, and it is also called Prem Darshan. There are 84 aphorisms discussing what love is. Just imagine. 84 sutras. And in this particular great book of scripture, he says, you want to know what love is? I'll tell you. Anirvachaniyam prema swarupam. You cannot define love at all. It is anirvachaniya. It's indescribable. And in order to tell us what he means by love being indescribable, it cannot be described, he gives another sutra. The first was the 51st sutra, the second 52nd sutra says, Muka Swadanavat. Suppose a person is dumb and has eaten a very lovely sweet, maybe rasgulla. You ask that dumb person, how was the sweet? Can you tell me? He can't speak, so he can't describe. That's how love is. But yet, something has to be said about what love is. So, Naradji said, Gunarahitam, Kamanarahitam, Pratikshan Vardhavanam. How did he describe love? Pure love, true love. He said, love is unconditional. It is not based upon any qualities, beauty, status, wealth. All these things are conditional, and pure love is unconditional. Secondly, there are no expectations in love. Kamana rahitam, no desire, no expectation. Whomsoever you love, it is for love's sake and no expectation at all. And love is pratikshana vardhamanam. It goes on increasing. So love is ever increasing, free of all desires, unconditional. Now I think that's got you thinking. Well, I think there's a point there. That's not something I can identify with completely. Now come to the next definition by the same Kabir. He says, Chin baade, chin utre, soto prema na hoy. That which is subject to fluctuation, up and down, emotions that go up and down, that is not love. Now we all practically experience the seesaw play of love in our lives, don't we? It rises up, goes down. It's constantly fluctuating. It's never stable. It sways to and fro like a pendulum. Isn't that true? Now, why does this happen? Why does our love towards any person or thing keep changing? Why does it fluctuate? Quite simply because we love only one. Only one. And no other. Now, what I'm going to tell you now, just listen with an open mind. You may not accept it immediately or may not even like it. But this is the absolute truth, maybe the bitter truth, and this bitter truth or absolute truth is going to set you free and free you of all the emotional stresses that we go through, all the heartaches, and eventually the heart attacks. People have come with that expectation. Huh? So it will save you from many a stroke and heart attack when you know what all this love is about. We love only one. Who is that? You want to know? You love only yourself. Only yourself. And this was the truth revealed by a great sage, Yajnavalkya, to his wife Maitreyi. This is the mantra number 4, 5, 6 of the Brihadaranyaka. Navari patyuk kamaya patit priyo bhavati atmanastu kamaya patit priyo bhavati navare jaya kamaya jaya priya bhavati atmanastu kamaya jaya priya bhavati navare putrasya kamaya putram priyam bhavati navare sarvasya. It's a very, very long mantra. To cut it short, it says sarvasya, everything. Navare sarvasya kamaya sarvam priyam bhavati atma vare Drashtabhyah Shrotabhyo Nididhyasitavyo Maitri. The essence of this whole mantra is that whomsoever you love, whatsoever you love, it is only for the sake of your own happiness. That is the happiness of the self. So, our attachment or love for anything or anybody is directly proportionate to the extent of our own fulfillment of happiness through that person or thing. It's proportionate. If our self-interest, what is our self-interest? Everybody has only one self-interest in life. I want to be happy. Happiness. Happiness of the self. And if somebody can be a help, somebody can help you to attain that happiness, then an attachment or love develops. So if the happiness expected is 70% or experience is 70%, love is 70%. And if that expectation comes down, well, I don't think that person is going to be helpful or doesn't care for me. It's come down 50%, so the love comes down 50%. And the moment you feel, I can never experience any happiness from that person at all, then about turn. You know that every second marriage is ending up in a divorce now. Why? When the person got married, there was no question. Even in a dream they didn't think, I cannot live without you, let's get married. Didn't that happen? Yes, of course. That was the intention of it. And there came a day when those words changed completely, and what happened? I cannot live with you. So why did this change? Now you can't make me happy, I can't make you happy, so we part. So love is based upon our own expectation, fulfillment of our self-interest, which is our own happiness. Jate kachu nij swarat hoi, ta par mamta kare sab koi. Even the great book of scripture, the Guru Granth Sahib says, apne hi hit syo sab lagyo, kya dara kya meet, jhoothi dekhi preet, jagat mein jhoothi dekhi preet. Now, there are three kinds of emotions, feelings, which are called love. And out of these three, only one of them is actually love, true love. The other two, they are called love, but they are not. So let me explain to you about them so that we know where we stand and what our feelings are. The first is what you call hunger love, lust. The second is conditional love. And the third is pure, unselfish love, unconditional love. The first, hunger love. What does that involve? Take. What advantage can I get? So it is purely based upon sense gratification. It's gross selfishness. It's quite common in the world today. And therefore, relationships, everybody accepts them that let's limit up, enjoy ourselves, and such relationships always prove to be short-lived and stressful. A couple getting married, the young man is saying to the priest, can you please hurry up? Whatever you have to do, the ceremony bit, Please hurry up. My young man, you want to get married and what do you want to hurry up about? Well, you see, the reason I want you to hurry up is because my car is parked on the double yellow line and I don't want to get a ticket. That's how fast everything is moving these days. So it is only take and take. Sense enjoyment is the basis of this love. Some of you people are Gujarati here, so you can identify with this. It says, this feeling of take and take. Tharo mal, so mharo mal. Aur mharo to maro chhe. So everything is mine. Because I love you so much, yours is mine. And mine, of course, belongs to me only. So, hamare dono haath mein laddu. So this is hunger love, to take and take. The second is conditional love. Conditional love is difficult to identify because we label this as love and it is a give and take relationship. I will be nice to you and you be nice to me. I will make you happy, you make me happy, and let's live together, and that is marriage for us. So it is based upon give and take. A compromise. It's not an easy compromise, it's an adjustment. A French writer, Montaigne, said that a good marriage would be between a blind husband, a blind wife and a deaf husband. That would be a good marriage. Another writer, R. Flock, said, it is easy to get married and more difficult to stay married, and to stay happily married should rank among the fine arts. So this compromise between two people, it's a conditional relationship of love, and that compromise is not easy because there is only one chair and both want to sit on that chair. I want to be happy, but you promised to make me happy, so I'm going to sit on that chair. So it's a tussle, and this tussle becomes even more difficult because of the internal state of the mind. Have you heard that there are 3 moods within each person's mind? These moods are called gunas or temperaments. And these temperaments are constantly changing within each person. Sometimes you feel, how can you change like that? You were okay this morning and this evening you seem to be so irritated and angry. The mind is constantly changing through these 3 gunas, tamogun, rajogun, sattvagun. State of anger, violence, state of being aggressive, and a state of being quiet and silent. 3 moods of the mind. In today's world, the kind of life we are leading, the first 2 which I talked about, aggressive or lethargic or violent, this kind of temperament is more predominant in the world around. You do not find much of the sattvic mode. It's there. All of us sitting here are in a sattvic, quite quiet and silent. Nobody has anything to say to anybody. And then when you go out, back again. So these 3 constantly changing moods are there within each person. Listen very carefully. These 3 modes which constantly fluctuate, they are present within each person. Therefore, for 2 people to agree internally, 24 hours is impossible. Internally there won't be, outwardly there will be, because we do not want to create a scene or you want to adjust with each other, as I said, compromise. But internally, if we were to express what we are thinking internally, then you know what's going to happen. You wouldn't dare to. Try it one day at least. One day, one day. Even within your family, whatever you are thinking inside, try to say it most absolutely frankly to the person, and then we will know. So, these three gunas within, and then this desire, I want to be happy. You must make me happy, and then I'll. It's not going to be a balance. There'll always be a tussle in that. This is a conditional relationship. What we call love. The best thing that a husband and wife can wish for each other is spirituality. Because it is soul development, the development of the real I, which will lead to the development of divine qualities of patience, understanding, thoughtfulness. However, very fortunate couples have this common understanding that this life is a journey to that shrine of truth. Then relationships become easier to manage. But if that is not the understanding, and it is, well, I make you happy, you make me happy, then frankly, this attachment of the mind, it is not love. And of course, people are not aware of this fact. What I'm sharing with you today is the truth. You can analyze what I'm saying, and if you're able to understand this for yourself, not for telling the other person, this is what DDG told me today, that nobody really loves anybody else for their happiness. You are selfish. Well, everybody is. I'm not telling you this for you to have a good argument next time you get around it. It's for an understanding. Because once you understand this, I can guarantee you that 50% of the stress today, all relationships are going through a lot of stress and strain. And if we understand that we human beings are helpless, we want the happiness of the self, the soul within desires happiness, and we try to search for it in this material world from each other. So when we say, I love you and I'm doing everything for your sake, we say these words, at that time we don't know that eventually you are doing it because it is giving you happiness. It is giving you pleasure or joy, whatever it may be, but you do not know it. We always profess that I did it for your sake. Only when we are fulfilled, we can do it for somebody else. Till you are not fulfilled yourself, it will always be for the sake of our own selves. Now let us come to the third category of love, which is pure love, true love. This love is what we long for. Unconditional, pure, unselfish love. And this love belongs to not this material world, it belongs to the province of God. And we are parts of God, as is declared unanimously by all the scriptures and the sages who went deep into meditation to find out what this I is. So we are parts of God, and therefore within all of us there is that yearning, that longing to experience unconditional pure love. We are constantly engaged in a search for that, and then we even change relationships with that expectation. But how can any love in the world satisfy the yearning of the higher self? That is the soul. human love ends in a blind alley. Today we are here, tomorrow we are gone. Every relationship slips by one. Father, mother, husband, wife, child. And that which is nearest and dearest to you. What is that? This body. Even this body one day forsakes us. We are separated from Him. Then how can any other relationship be a permanent one? All these events that happen in our life, which give us a lot of pain and suffering, they are there for us to learn the truth. That is, unless and until we are anchored in the divine through the yoga of the heart, we will never be fulfilled. We will never be content at all. Now let me tell you the most important fact about love. Did you know that love is a divine energy? We all use this word every day. Love, 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 love. It's there everywhere. But did you know that it is a divine energy? No. Krishna Ananta Shakti Tate Tin Pradhan Chit Shakti Maya Shakti Jiva Shakti Ram Antaranga Bahiranga Tatastha Kare Jare Antaranga Sharup Shakti Sabar Apare. You hear here and there, but it doesn't click to you. Don't you hear God is love? So the scriptures say Ladini Paramasara Tara Premana. The essence of the bliss-yielding energy of God is called prem or love. It is a divine energy, and it is an energy which is the highest of all the powers of God, and it is the most intimate of His powers. And although God is the fountainhead of love, as you hear, but did you know that He also thirsts for love just as we do? If He is the fountainhead of love, would He lack love? No, He doesn't. But He thirsts for our love. We are His children. And He wants our love. Bhavagrahi Janardana Ramahi Keval Prema Pyara Jaan Lehu Jo Janan Hara. भाव का भूखा हूँ मैं और भाव ही बस सार है, भाव से मुझको भजे तो भव से बेड़ा पार है. Not only does that supreme being, you may call him by whatever name you like, that supreme being not only thirsts, longs for our love, but He is also controlled by love. He is bound by love. Did you know that? Listen to the beautiful words of Swami Vivekananda. God says to us, He's talking to us, "Thy knowledge, man, I value not. It is thy love I fear. It is thy love that shakes my throne, brings God to human tear. For love, behold, the Lord of all, the formless, ever free, is made to take the human form to play and live with thee." This is the power of love. काहे खोजत ब्रह्म को, श्रुति नरिचन भरमाय। राधे राधे। यशोदा घर उखल बंध्यो, देखहु ब्रज में जाय। Why are you searching around to find out about who that supreme being is, that energy in all the scriptures? I'm going to tell you where you will find him. I know that love controls him and binds him. So go to the courtyard of that fortunate lady who is his mother Yashoda, and you will find that supreme being who frees us all from the meshes of Maya. You will find him tied to a mortar. That's where he is. Don't go around looking and reading in the scriptures to find out. I can tell you where he is. Jaki Maya te nache, yogi jati mahan. Radhe Radhe. Nache soi kartal pe, braj bitin panitan. We are all dancing like puppets under this energy, what we call Maya, you say, illusion, whatever it may be. And this Maya is an external energy of the Lord. You read it in the Gitas. Devi Yesha Gunamayi Mama Maya, 7th chapter 14 verse. That same Supreme Being is made to dance. Dance by whom? The gopis of Vrindavan. They are making him dance just by the clapping of their hands, because he desires to taste a little bit of the buttermilk they have. Is that Supreme Being? Is he bound by the pangs of hunger like we do? Does he thirst for things? No. It's love. He wants to experience the love of those gopis. And the buttermilk is just an offering of love from them, and he's willing to dance for that. That Supreme Being. That is the power of love, of even people like us, if we are able to love in that way. Now you might ask, well, how do we attain that love? Which will, as the great sage Narad says, that once you experience that love, tat prapya na kinchit vanchati, na shochati, na ramate, notsahi bhavati. Sutra number 5 says, once you experience that blissful, intoxicating love, people have. Once you experience it, and everybody can, then you will become totally fulfilled. You will grieve for nothing, you will long for nothing, because you will always be in an intoxicated state of fulfillment and joy. How do we attain it? This love which I am talking about, it is to give and only give. I talked about one, to take and only take, hunger love. The second was conditional love, give and take, trading. I remember reading in a book, Conversations with God. He says, I don't know why people keep saying to each other, I love you very much, I love you very much. The fact is, the very root fact is, I trade you very much. That's what it should be. So give and take. And this last, the third one which we are talking about, is to give and only give, as Naradji defines it, Tat Sukh Sukhitvam, Sutra number 24. To love for the sake of the other's happiness and not desire your own. That is true love. So that means, how do we attain that love, that pure love, unconditional love which we are seeking from time immemorial? All you have to do is, we all are very experienced in love. You have to love. It's our nature to love. You may get fed up with human beings. We can end up loving a dog, but we will still love. Right? So we all know how to love. All we have to do is, instead of falling in love, we rise in love. That's it. rise in love. So rising in love means to be devoid of desire. I mentioned to give and only give. Now, when we hear this, to be devoid of desire, we don't like it. We think that it means to renounce everything. No, it doesn't. Because we have misunderstood. It is a windfall actually. The world thinks that a devotee or a yogi is a man of self-denial and he renounces everything that the world has to offer. But that's not true at all. It is just the opposite. The devotee wants the highest, just as people who have this ambition of making money, then I want to be the richest person. I don't know who the richest person is now, Bill Gates or anybody else, but those who are next to him, they want to outbeat him, isn't it? I want to be the highest, and that's what the devotee wants. He wants the highest. And then, for the highest, he is very easily able to just do away with the transient. In fact, you don't need to renounce anything. You know what happens? Swami Vivekananda puts it very beautiful. He says, Bhakti is love for the highest and the lowest will fall away by itself. You don't need to do anything. It's like suppose somebody were to give you a palace to live in. Would you want to have a small little hut? Would you be desirous? I've got a big palace. You wouldn't be bothered. If nobody, an ordinary girl, receives love from a king, would she be concerned about having another beggar to look at her with love? I've got a king. He loves me. So that's it. It's love for the highest, and the lowest falls away by itself. So, pure love cannot be reduced to any earthly benefit. Once you are able to understand and practice this kind of pure love, then let me tell you, your life will change. You will acquire power of personality. You will start experiencing a peace of mind. You will have a clarity of thought. There is no bartering and bargaining, which we are normally used to in this kind of love. As again, I will tell you the beautiful words of Swami Vivekananda. You want to be a lover and experience that pure love and be blissful eternally? Then remember, the ideal of a lover who has passed beyond the stage of bargaining and bartering. That's what we do with God. You go to any temple, you go to any saint, give me this, give me that. Once you give this to me, I will do that for you. I will offer this much in charity. I will host a dinner, a bhandara karenge. This is bargaining and bartering. So Vivekananda says that the ideal of a lover who has passed beyond the stage of bargaining and bartering is to give and only give. To give and only give. That is a lover. But most so-called lovers of God today, they say we believe in God, but what is their belief? A big shopping list. They go to God with a big shopping list and there is no love. Even a dog gets more time and more love from his master than God gets from us many a times. So if God is not going to be as important as smoking, eating, sleeping, or money making is to you in your life, then just forget about ever experiencing the sweetness, the bliss of that pure love. You have to understand the position of God. Rabindranath Tagore said, "Oh man, to go to your own door and beg as a beggar, Don't we say Tvameva Mata cha Pita Tvameva? We address God as a father. You have a right. Why do you want to beg at that door? Why do you want to have a beggar's relationship? You have a right. So therefore the saints urge us to practice this love which I'm telling you, Tat Sukh Sukhitvam. To love for the sake of pleasing. I want to make you happy. To give and only give. This was the love of the gopis. Do you know the gopis of Vrindavan? They occupy the highest position as saints. Why? Because they have pure love. The sage Narad said, you want to learn how to love? Learn from the gopis. Yatha Braja Gopika Nam. Sutra number 21. You can learn from them. This is the love of saints. And that's why living in this world amongst us, being abused, being put through all the hardships, you read the history of any saint, they were never welcomed in this world. But they didn't mind at all. You read the history of Tulsidas, you read the history of Sufis, Mansur, Jalaluddin Rumi, all of them. You read the history of the Sikh Gurus, Guru Arjan Dev, Gobind Singh. They were never ever given comfortable living in this world. We always make things difficult for them, but they were not bothered because they always dwelt in a state of divine intoxication, and all this behavior did not matter to them. They only wanted to serve the Lord for His happiness, and their mental state was always a state of eternal joy. Just imagine with all this, because they had pure love of giving and only giving. That's how the great saint Lord Chaitanya said. He said to Lord Krishna, Nadhanam najanam na sundarim kavitama jagatisha kamaye mama janmani janmanishvare bhavata bhakti rahaituki tvai. I do not want all this material wealth, nor do I want to be popular amongst people, nor do I want to have anything else from this material world. All I want from you is that life after life, I just want to be able to love you and have you as my own. And so he challenges Lord Krishna and says, Ashlishya padaratam pinashtumam madarshanan marmahatam karotu va yatha tatha va vidadatu lampatu. Oh my beloved Krishna, you may embrace me and give me your love. Thank you. That's great. But I'm also ready. If you are totally indifferent to me, ignore me, or even if you just reject me, I can challenge you on one thing. However you behave with me, but my love for you will always be the same. It will be ever increasing. Have you ever experienced such a love? No matter how you behave, it doesn't matter. The person just keeps loving you for the sake of your happiness. No, we haven't. But we would love to experience this kind of love. You see, God is seeking our love more than we are seeking His love. In fact, Lord Krishna says to us, you and I are made for each other. Dvasuparna sayuja sakhaya savanam vriksham parikasvajate. Shvetashvatara Upanishad mantra 4:6. God loved us even before we were born. Did you plan to come to this world? It was He who planned. He loved us even before we were born. And it is His love that gave us life. It is His love that sustains us even now. And it is His love that will be there with us when the gates of death imprison us where even the greatest of human love cannot go. So the sanctuary of the heart is meant for God. All the heart problems and attacks are due to the fact that we have never had this place for Him within our heart. And don't let the world steal into it. Why don't you ask yourself, why do I go through unhappiness in my life? Because you are a soul. What has that got to do with it? Well, because you are a part of God. What has that got to do with it? Well, because God is love. What has that got to do with it? Because being a part of God, you desire that love which is pure and unconditional. And therefore, you have never been satisfied in the world. You have tried again and again and again. Everything in the world is transient. All relationships, as I said, they slip away one by one. And He, that Supreme Being, is the Father of all fathers. He is the Mother of all mothers. He is the Lover of all lovers. When we connect ourselves to Him through this love which I'm talking about, it's going to be a practice, then we will experience what we have been searching for tirelessly in this material world, life after life. Now, the yoga of the heart which I have discussed today is no different from the yoga that you hear about. There is a book of scripture, Yoga Darshan, right, by Patanjali. And what I have discussed today is exactly the essence of that book of scripture. But because most people in the world today have an incomplete knowledge of the Yoga Darshan, they identify it only with what they read here and there or what they watch on TV, which, as I said, is breathing exercises and various asanas that they do. Mind you, these breathing exercises and physical exercises or asanas, they are just exercises that you have in the gym, no different. But do you know what is the central theme of Yoga Darshan? It is Yoga Chitta Vritti Nirodha. What does that mean? It means control of the mind. If there are any doctors sitting here, they will tell you that if a mind is diseased, by disease means if there is anxiety, if there is worry, if there is stress, if there is depression in the mind, it ultimately leads to a stroke, it leads to a heart attack. That means the main thing is the mind. And that's what Patanjali talked about. Control of the mind through various different methods, Hatha Yoga, Pranayam, etc., etc. And eventually, towards the end of this book of scripture, the conclusion, Patanjali himself advises us Samadhi Siddhi Ishvara Paridhanatva. You may try all sorts of exercises. It's a very beautiful verse in the Bhagavad Puran, 10th canto, the 51st chapter, 61st verse says, Yunyananam bhaktanam pranayamadibhirvana akshina vasanam rajan drishyate punarutthitam. It says that with all kinds of pranayam or asana, whatever it may be, you cannot achieved control of the mind. And so long as you are not able to achieve control of this mind is always going to run to the material world with numberless desires and expectations, and these desires produce restlessness, they produce anxiety, and when there is anxiety and worry in your life, what do? You neglect your health, correct? When your health is neglected, then it affects your body, and then when this anxiety takes a worse turn to stress and then to depression, it leads to heart attacks and strokes. So that's why Patanjali eventually said that if you want to get out of this, get to the root cause. I know people who had stents put, they've had open heart surgeries, and they are ready for another one after that. So what's happening? It's not a permanent thing that you're being released out of. The permanent cure is Ishvara Paridhanatma, surrender of this mind, this turbulent, restless mind, connecting it with love to that Supreme Being who is love, and we are parts of Him. Till we do not connect, there will be restlessness. So you can continue doing your asana and pranayam, but now what you have to do is give it a bit of a devotional turn. How do we do that? The simple pranayam exercise which a lot of people are doing is Anulom Vilom. Now this, of course, people have experienced that it has made them feel better health-wise. In this exercise of breathing in and breathing out, if you can take the divine name whilst you're doing it. You breathe in, Radhe. You breathe out, Shyam. You can take in any name you want to. Divine name, whichever it is a potentized word. Did you know that? All the powers that are present in God are present in that name. So whilst you're breathing and taking that name, what happens? Apart from the physical health point of view, you also receive divine grace. What a big bonus. Do you lose anything? You gain everything and you don't lose anything. So whilst doing your asana or pranayam, try to connect there, remembering I am not alone, He is with me, He is seeking my love, and here I am, disconnected from Him and totally connected to this temporary, transient world full of worries and anxieties. So He will give me that grace through the day. Not only breathing at that time, even the rest of the day. If you are driving to work, then try whilst you're breathing. Put it into practice. So what happens? You are able to connect with the daily breathing. It all comes through practice. It all comes through practice. And all the scriptures, all the saints who have experienced the magic of this connection, they tell us. You all recite the Hanuman Chalisa. Sankat kate mite sab pira jo sumre Hanumat baladhira. We mechanically say these words, but see what it says. Sankat kate or mite sab pira. Pira means all your problems, physical and internal, comes along with this. So this yoga of the heart, it combines your external management, and the main thing is the internal management. You may be a healthy person. Your heart may be perfectly healthy, but isn't there stress in your life? Isn't there unhappiness in your life? So there you go. This internal thing is a real essence of life, and it is because we are alienated from the source of bliss and love. That's why we are suffering. Vimukh Ram na jiva sukh pavan. Just forget that you'll ever be perfectly happy if you are alienated from that source of bliss. That conclusion in the Guru Granth Sahib says as well, Rama Naam urme gayo, Yake samanahi koy, Jehi sumirat sankat mite. Sankat mite. And finally, today the world is moving towards herbal treatments. It's more natural, isn't it? People making a lot of money on that as well. And all these other medicines that we have to take, they treat you on one side and make you worse on the other. Do you know who is the founder of this Ayurvedic medicines? His name is Dhanvantri. He is a saint, and it is said about him that he had the ability, this consciousness was developed to, as I mentioned to you in the beginning, even plants respond to love. I remember I stayed with a lady in Scotland, Dundee, and she had lots and lots of plants all over the house, bathroom, kitchen, everywhere. And she told me, she said, I talk to my plants. I said, do you? Yeah, I do. And she says, some of the plants that I don't talk to, I get busy, and by the time I come there, I just put some water and leave. I have found that they do not grow as well as the ones I've been talking to. There you go. She used to talk. And Dhanvantri actually communicated with all the plants and trees, and that's how he identified what medicines were available to us through those plants, that natural medical aid available to us through that supreme being. He identified, he could communicate with those plants. He's the father of all this Ayurvedic medicine. And do you know what he said? He said, I have given you all these cures for all the diseases through these medicinal herbs, but let me tell you, the greatest, the highest, most effective cure is if you are able to chant with faith 3 names. Achyutaya Namah, Anantaya Namah, Govindaya Namah. So there you go. That is the greatest treatment over and above all the other treatments that we are looking for. So I hope those of you who have come here with an expectation that I'm going to learn about some asanas for my diseased heart, you have learned far, far more than that. Something which is going to be effective throughout your life if you put it into practice. And as I have dwelt mainly on the control of mind, the disease of the mind, there is a very beautiful book here called Bhakti Yoga, and that specifically deals with this problem, because today the greatest killer disease is the heart problem people are having. So this book deals with the reason for attacks and strokes that people have, the kind of food that you should eat, the kind of exercise that you can perform, combined with what I am telling you, the internal treatment. So this book effectively goes deeper and not just to the external physical exercises, it helps you with the internal as well. So those of you who have heart problems, I would definitely recommend you to get your hands onto this book and see how big a change you find in your health within no time. So we hope to meet again and discuss further on this subject sometime or the other. Vrindavan Bihari Lal ki Jai, Srimad Satguru Sarkar ki Jai.
The yoga you have described is a bhakti yoga, yoga of love, devotion, unconditional devotion to the Supreme. But the people who have a different temperament, some people does not really practice bhakti yoga, say they are more suited for the kriya yoga or karma yoga. So maybe it's because of their sanskara or whatsoever it is, or temperament. is it possible that you can mold to almost everybody in Bhakti Yoga, which is a very high form of yoga?
I mentioned that Bhakti Yoga involves love, right? And love is our nature. We all love. It is very natural to us. And all we have to learn is, as Vivekananda put it very simply, realizing that whatever we are attached to in the material world is transient. This is a physical relationship. The relationship of the soul is to the Supreme Being. So it's just an understanding which is missing. The moment that understanding dawns on a person, it's a most simple thing to do, arising in love. For instance, the moment a girl knows that she is going to be engaged with a certain person who is studying with her or whatever, whenever they arrange marriage, let's take a common example. The moment she knows that she is going to be engaged and married to a certain person, then what happens to her mind? The day she gets married, then immediately the identification is that is mine, that house, that car, that bank balance. Now what about back here? Oh, not mine anymore. Now my sister is going to use my room and that TV is going to belong to her and she's going to take over all these things. So the my shifts from this side to that side very easily. It doesn't require any kind of teaching or understanding, but this requires a bit of understanding, and it doesn't matter whichever path you take. But one thing I must say, that surrender, whichever path you take, whether you take Gyan or you take Karma or any path, surrender is an absolute must. After that, it is up to us. I do not want to remain in the state of a devotee and serve the Lord. I want to merge. The soul merges into the Supreme Being. Well, that's up to you, your goal. But surrender, even the Jnani has to surrender. And this is what even Shankaracharya says. Why surrender? Because Maya, which is the energy of God, can only be dispelled from the mind through divine grace. This is the crux of the message of the Gita. What Krishna says in the 7th chapter, 14th verse, Daivi Hesha Gunamayi Mamamaya Duratyaya Mameva Ye Prapadyante Mayamaitantarantite. One who surrenders to me crosses over the ocean of Maya. And that's why the final conclusion of the Gita is Mamekam Sharanam Braja. In the Bhagavad Gita, he discusses karma, he discusses Dhyan, he discusses all the different paths and eventually comes to surrender. So all yogas have to come to the door of surrender. So whatever practice you do, that's perfectly okay. But eventually it has to come to the point of surrender. And for Bhakti Yoga, surrender is an easier thing to do than when you come from the path of Jnana.
How do you know you're moving towards spiritual love to the Lord? And how do you describe spiritual love? How do you know you're moving towards it? Are you making progress on it?
When your mind gradually becomes detached from the transient and moves to the real, you can see the development, and then the diseases of the mind which used to make you restless before, the multifarious desires that you had, now you find that your mind is getting a bit more settled, and other diseases which naturally follow desire obviously seem to be now in control. So there is a change in your own life. From detachment for the unreal, it goes to attachment to the real.
The reason I'm asking, there are lots of people who do prarthana every day in the morning. Every day they do prarthana in the morning, 1 hour, 2 hours. I've asked so many people. They do prarthana every morning, 1 hour, they pray to God, they do this, they do prarthana every day. I asked, hang on, have you moved up at all? He says, no. So, where are we?
See, prarthana has it involved the mind. You may chant mantras all day, Like certain people in South India, there's a lot of worship through mantras. So whole day some of the priests are going on one mantra after the other. It's not the question of what we do externally. This is an internal link, and that's why Karma Yoga is mind to God and hands to work. So if we are going to have hands to God and mind to the world, then that is the opposite of what is expected. That's not going to change a person at all. There will not be progress. And that's what's happening in India as well, a lot. Most people are involved in external things, external worship. The main thing is the mind. And that's what Lord Krishna also said to Arjun. Mayarpita mano buddhir. Give me your mind and intellect. Because the mind is the cause of bondage. So involvement of the mind in any kind of worship is important. If you involve the mind, there has to be a change in your life. But if you are mechanically doing one prayer, Shiv Chalisa ke baad Hanuman Chalisa kar liya, फिर उसके बाद दूसरी Chalisa, Durga Chalisa किया, it's mechanical repetition and you've been doing it and you do it because you have to do it out of fear. That is not the real worship. The connection, as I said, a connection that I belong to Him. I'm a soul and He is mine. That relationship will get you closer. Take Him as a father or a mother or a friend. He is willing to accept that and He wants that of us. He wants our love. I mentioned all along love. So if the love ingredient is missing, that connection thing is missing, then we are only doing a physical exercise.
Oh, question. To do that, do we need a guru?
Absolutely necessary. Just as we need a teacher in the material world, even to learn ABCD, to think that I can just read the books and find out on my own. We may read the Gita for millions of lives, but we will never understand the essence of that book of scripture. We will end up getting confused or probably interpreting it according to our own, present state of thinking. And that's why the scriptures say we are scared of those people who are still bound by Maya to read the scriptures because they are bound to misinterpret them. The words that are there, I'll just give you an example. The word Akash. Akash is this material sky. Another place, Akash can mean that supreme being. Atma can mean the individual soul. Atma can mean a saint. Atma can mean God as well. Now we are just going to interpret it according to what suits us wherever. So we need a person who has experienced that truth to be able to teach us, just as we need teachers in the material world. Simple.
Thank you.